Well, that was quite the start to Raw. Also, hello my friends, my name is Simon Miller from WhatCulture, and that's right, it's another Simon is on some kind of special magic secret adventure, but because wrestling doesn't stop, and the finger of power doesn't stop, I don't stop. You know the deal. One day this will kill me. We just had a funeral for Barry Barricade, so we could do a funeral for me too. Hope my parents aren't watching this. Not that they care. Let's up those down. So yeah, we started Raw this week, and all of a sudden, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler were just having a massive fight. Now, apparently this was because they were meant to have a match, but they must have looked at each other and said, I don't want to wait until I can legally beat you up. I want to kill you right now. It was also hilarious because Raquel Rodriguez's music then started playing, and she decided, well, I'll join in too. When Rhea Ripley's music also hit, she returned to Monday Night Raw. Let's not even pretend she's a heel anymore. Everybody went crazy. So to point out that Raquel's plan was absolutely terrible because she went to hit Nia, missed, twonked Shayna instead. That's when Jax was able to flatten everyone. This got so out of control too, all of a sudden Rhea just grabbed a security guard and gave him a riptide. But I tell you, that was so damn badass. And as I will continue to inform you every single day of 2023, if by the end of this year, Rhea Ripley isn't a massive star, we've done something wrong. She was also so pissed off after this, she went, man, Judgment Day, you better get out of here right now. This really made me laugh. Because she went, oh yeah, it is the opening Raw promo, which means the Day of Judgment have to talk for a bit. Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest did arrive, but Finn Balor was nowhere to be seen. Ripley, she was so damn mad. She's like, look, I was only gone for a fortnight. Damian Priest, you were meant to watch the gang, and you totally failed, because look at the Dom-Dom, look at the Condom. He doesn't even have a championship anymore. What happened? It also means that Finn Balor is now injured. Can't remember if I said that or not because I'm going crazy. And that now Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso are coming after the tag team titles. I was like, are they? I must have missed it. Priest then totally shut her up because he was like, listen, I know all this information. You don't have to tell me. But when all is said and done, I mostly care about this, my Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, that is a little bit kinky and it is a little bit weird, but once again, we're just teasing that eventually, boop, Damian's gonna be kicked out of the group. Rhea then continued to absolutely lose it because she turned to Dom and she was like, listen, I'm your mummy and you're my pappy, and therefore I did get you a North American title rematch on NXT later against Trick Williams, but if you fail, don't even bother to come home. And so did the crowd chat because she's gonna spank you. I think that's a punishment. The whole thing went Raw, mostly because it was Raw. Because all of a sudden, here came Jey Uso. Instantly, we then started to do the whole wink, wink, nudge, nudge stuff between Jey Uso and Rhea Ripley, so I suppose we should ship that one. When he went, listen, man, you've got even bigger balls than Roman Reigns. I was like, Jey, he's going to kill you. Priest was totally done by this point, so he went to twonk Jey, but this is when the Condom calmed him down. And I'd love to tell you what he said, but I don't know. All I heard was boo. Jey thought this was funny though, so he hit Mysterio with a kick that was super. But all of a sudden, JD McDonagh was here, and he helped the Judgment Day beat up Jey Uso. Thankfully, Uso does have a friend in Cody Rhodes, so he came out to make the save, and everybody went, yeah! And once again, we are getting this tag team title match at Fastlane, because Adam Pearce confirmed it afterwards. I mean, I don't know what Jey Uso's and Cody Rhodes' tag team win-loss record is, but I do not think it deserves a championship match. Here is the thing though, I do believe it's going to Raw, and I think it's going to tie into a big heel turn that may be about to go down, so that gets me excited. And this did go a little bit long. It's about 30 minutes, but look, I enjoyed it. When it was time for the Alpha Academy versus Imperium, which does make sense, Chad Gable really hates Gunther. We also, of course, had to tie into last week because the Ring General had told Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, you suck more, so now you're responsible for each other. Especially you, Giovanni, I'm keeping my eye on you. So poor Vinci, he must have been terrified, and as much as he tried, he kept failing. I mean, Otis just ran over him. At one point, Ludwig wanted the tag, but he was nowhere to be seen. He burnt the dinner. Having a terrible night. I think he realised this though, because after Otis had hit the Caterpillar and he's going for the Vader bomb, he basically grabbed his leg. That meant Chad had to go after Giovanni Vinci when Ludwig Kaiser was like, I'm free, and he booted Otis right in the face, and he got the 1, 2, 3. I was like, wait a minute, Otis lost and Chad Gable didn't take the pin? We are not in Kansas anymore, Toto. It also means that Imperium can live for another week because Gunther will absolutely rip their heads off. You can just see we're putting the pieces in place here so that Chad Gable does eventually win the Intercontinental title. When that happens, I will feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. It was good. up. WWE then decided to show the horrendous injury that Becky Lynch had suffered at NXT No Mercy. And all I'm going to say is this: if you're about to eat, do not look at it. It's disgusting. Also want to shout out her and Tiffany Stratton though, because my word, they had a phenomenal matchup. But surprise, surprise, she literally had goo coming out of her arm, so she hasn't been cleared for her match with Tegan Knox. Well, no. Kind of does mean that Tegan's run on the main roster is just a little bit cursed. This is when we cut to Adam Pearce, and he was telling her, I was like, Adam, you didn't inform her before the show. You waited for Raw to begin, then you were like, no title match for you. This is when Chelsea Green walked in. She didn't even notice that Tegan Knox was there. So Tegan was like, I would like a match with Chelsea Green. It's gonna happen later. So this was the most out of nowhere thing ever, as was Bronson Reed versus Cedric Alexander. What? It went exactly like you'd expect to. It went 2 minutes, Cedric got hit with the tsunami, and Bronson got the 1, 2, 3. Now here's the deal. I really like Reed. I think he's an excellent big man. But because WWE doesn't let Cedric do what Cedric could do, he may as well have pinned, I don't know, a book. He might as well just a book in the ring, Tsunami 1, 2, 3, because again, we don't let Alexander do anything. What I don't understand, and again, I don't want anyone to lose their job ever, because only psychopaths say that, but if Cedric Alexander did want to leave WWE, and that's a big if, I don't know, we probably should just let him, because if you give that guy a frying pan, he will cook. So I'm going to give this a down, because yeah, Bronson Reed beat someone that WWE doesn't care about, and rather than try and make us care about Cedric Alexander, we went in the opposite direction. Down. Drew McIntyre then made me laugh, because he went to Adam Pearce and said, nope, I ain't going on Miz TV. Now he did do this last week because he felt like the fans deserved an explanation, but that was last week. Who the flub wants to go on Miz TV twice? Fair. Adam was then all like, but Miz really wants this. So McIntyre was like, why would I care about that? But I shall go out later because yes, there have some things I do want to say to the audience, but if I see the Miz, I'm gonna rip his arms off his body. You weren't kidding either, you will see. The best part of this segment though is that afterwards Pearce was like, Drew, are you okay? And McIntyre was like, oh, now you're concerned about me. Well, nobody was concerned about me when the bloodline was pissing me off. Honestly, 1, that is totally true. And 2, we should have done this with Drew ages ago. It is flubbing brilliant. It was sports entertainment time next. We had a contract signing. I don't know what this is. It was your usual Tommaso Ciampa telling Gunther, I never had the opportunities that you had. It's like, wait a minute, weren't you NXT champion? Kinda irked me. He also demanded that Gunther looked at him because Gunther was a bit like, I don't care about you when he said, I am going to beat you for that title, especially because I've been dreaming about winning it since I was 5 years old. He also said that he's gonna fight for that kid and his family who will be at ringside. You can't say that to Gunther. He was like, do you not remember the last time there was some stupid child at ringside? I made them cry, and I make all your stupid family cry too. Once again, the Intercontinental Champion was like, fine speech if he was John Cena, because he's like, yeah, there's other things that I care about too, but I care about this thing the most. And he was holding the belt, and that's why he's never gonna lose, because Ciampa is more concerned about his nearest and dearest, whereas Gunther, that's it, just this. Ciampa then kept interrupting Gunther, and he said, if you interrupt me again, bad things will happen. So guess what Tommaso did? He interrupted him. I don't think he was listening. This led to Gunther basically saying, well, Ciampa, you better go hug your family one last time because when I am done with you, you are done. Yep, that's a death threat. Bring down the crime counter, goes up by 1. This is where we did get to the signatures, although beforehand, Tommaso was like, well, actually, you haven't put your name on that piece of paper, so why wait to the pay-per-view premium live event? Let's just do it tonight. And Adam Pearce was like, yeah, let's do it tonight. Like, what is happening? This, of course, finished with a big old brawl with Tommaso Ciampa getting the better of it, because he was going to lose later. But it does become our main event. It was flipping good. So was this. Giving it up. Kofi Kingston was then wiggling his hips in the direction of Wade Barrett, which made me laugh, because it was time for Xavier Woods versus Ivar. Now, during this, we were also told that Eric has been super duper injured and may be out for a while, so all the best to him. But seriously, Ivar has got to be one hell of an underrated talent. And here, Xavier was kind of throwing him around like he was a child. Kofi was losing it on commentary. I absolutely loved it. And he went a little bit too far because he tried to hit the bomb of power onto the big man. He was like, no, this is why Xavier Woods is my favorite wrestler. He was like, all right, well, if strength ain't gonna work, I'm gonna hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up or the backwards, and he got the 3. And I honestly went, Like when you have a nice cup of coffee. Was so damn satisfied. Kingston also totally lost his mind, although it went very bad for these guys, because the Viking Raiders then powerbombed them into each other, which looked horrible, as did the moonsault. That's right, he climbed to the top rope and he squashed them both. He really is very, very good. But they're his brother-in-arms. I don't know what direction this is going in, but I am intrigued, and they're all just such good professional wrestlers. Giving it up. They had a video package for Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins, which was very well timed. Out came Seth Rollins. Now, Michael Cole was doing the interviewing here, and bless Seth, because during this, he made sure to remind us that Michael Cole has missed like 2 shows in 30 years. And that's true. We do not give this man his props. The reason he was able to tie this in too is because Michael was all like, Seth, you're back, you need to watch your back. So he was like, nah, listen, man, you don't miss shows, and I don't miss shows. Because I'm Seth Rollins, I'm the world champion. We have to make sure we're always here, so even if I die trying, well, I'll be dead. Rollins also mentioned the fact that over the years, Michael Cole has called him stuff like the puppeteer, when Michael's all like, oh, maybe Nakamura has made a puppet out of you. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. And I just left. Seth then totally lost his mind because he was like, I do this for my family, and now I'm doing it because I am the world champion. Once again, you know what's important here. I have to do a good impression for my little girl. He didn't say good impression. He wasn't like, here's Brad Pitt. It meant he wants to, influence her. Let's just move on. I do want to point out we have to start doing more serious Seth promos because he is so good. When all of a sudden Shinsuke Nakamura is on the big screen doing one of his Japanese promos. But this was a massive ruse because he then popped up behind Seth and he killed him. It also meant that Rollins had totally ignored his advice because he wasn't watching his back. But this was so damn good because essentially Shinsuke took him down when the Nakamura on the screen started counting to 10 because of course at Fastlane they're going to have a last man standing match. Also, how did Nakamura put this together? He would have had to make the video and then gone in real time, I need to make sure I've done this before that version starts counting, and it happened twice. I mean, he did really good. Of course, Rollins kept getting up, which ties into the whole storyline, which is when Nakamura wrecked him with a chair and hit him with a Kinshasa to the back of the head. Now, he hadn't planned for this, so the edited Nakamura didn't have a count, so instead Shinsuke got the mic live and he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was like, that is really good, Nakamura, but it doesn't count until Saturday. Somebody better tell him. The real shame is that it probably means Shinsuke Nakamura is not going to become the world champion, and I really do think he should, but either way, this was such a good angle. The narrative is so cool, and it's turned Shinsuke into the guy we always wanted him to be. Giving it an up. Becky then found Tegan Knox backstage and told her to give Chelsea Green hell, when in walked Natalya. Now at first I was like, don't trust this natty Tegan, she's always trying to pull something. She was like, man, we got off on the wrong foot, and I love you, and maybe we should be tag team partners. I was like, a lot of this Raw is really weird. It also meant it was time for Tegan Knox versus Chelsea Green, and look, as ever, only went 2 minutes, which is ridiculous, but halfway through Natalya came out to negate the interference by Piper Niven when Tegan hit the world's shiniest wizard. She won. So I suppose we're going to start doing Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Natalya and Tegan Knox, which just goes to show that right now the tag team title scene on both the men's and women's side is flipping ridiculous because we're just throwing people together and going, yeah, you could have a title match. Still though, I think the more important thing here is that Tegan Knox got a win. When was the last time that happened? Probably recently if I've forgotten, but the whole point is she needed one. Giving it up. Jey Uso then told us that he was more than happy to team up with Cody Rhodes because it meant they could whip the Judgment Day's ass. When out came the best flipping version of Drew McIntyre in years. Instantly he was like, screw the locker room, only you guys deserve an explanation. But really, when you look at all the cards on the table, why is everybody mad at me? He also said that together we've been through all the ups and downs. I was like, Drew, I kind of feel like I have especially. The truth is though, he's totally bored of being the savior, especially because he keeps breaking up fights that he didn't even start, and there has to be an end to it somewhere, which is today, the 2nd of October, I think. He also thinks that everybody else is a hypocrite because they keep doing the same things they're saying they're not doing, and the only reason Cody Rhodes has to be a good guy now is because he made this Jey Uso mess. Now he's got to clean up. This is when the Miz interrupted because of course he did. And he was sad. He was like, Drew, you ruined Miz TV last week. For some reason, that really made me laugh. McIntyre just kept telling him to shut up like he had done 7 years ago. And basically the Miz was desperate to get the dark side out of Drew. I mean, he was like the Emperor and Darth Vader. He is not going to do it though, because Drew McIntyre earns title shots. He doesn't just take them. And he said, look, if you want to fight, we can have a fight right now. And also, Miz, you have small testicles. Again, don't get mad at me. That's what he said. Miz then used the whole, I'm not dressed to fight, so we can't do it, when he said, I said you were Batman last week, but you're not. You're more like Two-Face. That's a stupid line, but somehow Miz made it work, as he did when he said, Drew McIntyre, you make me want to throw up. Now that's something a 4-year-old would say. This is why The Miz is so good. You can give him any material and he will figure it out. Of course, eventually The Miz cheap-shotted Drew, and McIntyre went flopping crazy here, to the point the officials had to drag him away. When we got this match, this ties into what I was telling you earlier. At one point, Drew got his sword, so he was gonna chop The Miz up. Crime counter. This was so damn good though, because earlier on in the match, The Miz had loosened Tina the turnbuckle, which sounds terrible. But as soon as the referee was getting rid of the sword, Drew was like, screw it, I'm done. He took Tina, he threw her away, he got The Miz's head, he smashed it into the steel when he hit the Future Shock DDT of all things, and he got the 3. He then went all sarcastic Sally, because he was like, oh, I'm so sorry for my actions 5 seconds ago, so maybe you should forgive me, which was firing shots at everybody else. And look, he is going to turn heel soon, even though everything he's saying is totally justified, but that's why it's damn brilliant. So I'm so impressed with this, and eventually, he should be the guy to beat Seth Rollins. I mean it, if we don't do that, we have totally lost our minds. So it's a massive round of applause. Flub me, it is getting it up. But they had Trick Williams on Raw, which was really cool, especially because he had just won the North American title. But he should have known this was going to happen. In walked the Judgment Day. Williams thought it was funny that Dom was being a tough guy because Rhea Ripley was here, when Rhea was like, listen, you do have your rematch later, and I'm not going to be at ringside. I was like, man, Condom, you got your back against the wall. But seriously, does anybody else think that Carmelo Hayes should accidentally on purpose cost his friend his title so Dom can win it back and we can start that feud? Yeah, me too. It was time for some warm and fuzziness in your tum-tum. Here came Cody Rhodes. Now, there's not really much to say. He was like, he's happy to team with Jey Uso. He wants to stop the Judgment Day. He wants to be a tag team champion because he knows the Day of Judgment is going to SmackDown. They're going to go to SmackDown too. All right. I mean, this kind of felt like he was there just to put him on the show, but you should do that. Not really much else I can say about it though. Let's move on. Especially because we were then in the back with Alpha Academy and Otis was like, Chad Gable, I'm so sorry I let you down. Chad was like, you didn't let me down, Otis. You could never let me down. The only people that could let me down are kids that do drugs. Didn't say that. Said it was Imperium, because they keep cheating. He also said that he would get his revenge by winning the IC title. I mean, basically, he didn't say that directly, and he should do. It's gonna be flubbing great. And speaking of which, we then got to our main event. It was the Intercontinental title on the line, and it was Gunther versus Tommaso Ciampa. It was excellent. It also went a good 20 minutes, which is actually why I'm glad it wasn't on the pay-per-view premium live event, because I don't think it would have got as much time. And the only real issue with it is that nobody in their right mind thought Tommaso Ciampa was gonna win. Fair play to both guys, because my word did they try and change that opinion. And the only problem I had is that early on Ciampa was going for the Sicilian stretch, Gunther got to the ropes. When we cut to commercial, when we came back, Gunther was just in control. So we're gonna have to make it up ourselves, and I'm gonna say that Gunther went, Tommaso, you're bald. Ciampa was like, you shouldn't say that, Mr. Ring General. Like, it hurts. Do you think I wanted to be bald? Do you think when I was a kid, I dreamt about being bald? No. So maybe you should reconsider your thoughts and your words, huh? I'm saying that too. Then he forgot where he was. Gunther punched him. That'll do. They then exchanged chops, which always seems like a really bad idea, because like Ciampa, you're going to lose that one. But I actually had a plan, because they went to the outside, and Gunther went to chop him, he moved, and he hit Alan the announce table instead. I was like, what did Alan do? Tommaso didn't think twice about this either, and he went right after the arm like it was the cure for hair loss, when he just stomped on his face. I mean, that's what he was doing. He was really mad. It was so damn good though, because then Gunther tried to go for the bomb of power, but he couldn't because he had a dodgy limb. When Tommaso went for the fairy tale ending, when that didn't work, he hit this big old knee for a 1-2 ooh. I didn't massively buy it, but at the same time, I kind of did. Gunther then got dropped right on his head. I was like, my word, they're crazy. When they went back to their chops, I was like, Tommaso, would you stop doing it? When once again, he tried to tap Gunther out. I was like, dude, if you pull this off, it's gonna be mega. Sadly though, it didn't work, and instead they got back up to their feet. Gunther hit him with 2 power bombs, just to make sure he could never breathe again. He locked in the sleeper. Ciampa did pass out, or he went to sleep. Match over, still your IC champ. What an absolute war this was though, and of course Imperium were here right after putting the boots in when Gunther just walked off, when we were going to end with a nice big surprise, because Johnny Gargano returned to Raw, he reunited with Tommaso Ciampa, they whipped ass, DIY are back. That was quite funny because the TV production cut off before you saw their finishing move. I was like, man, that's gonna piss off everybody. And this is just the right thing to do. Like, I love Tommaso Ciampa and I love Johnny Gargano, but they're never gonna be portrayed on the main roster as they were down in NXT. So just let them be the best tag team ever, and we can all have a good time. Which did indeed bring us to the end of Monday Night Raw, and I actually think it got me pretty hyped for Fastlane. I cannot believe there is another pay-per-view premium live event in a few days, because wrestling never stops, but hey ho, am I looking forward to it? Yes I am. Now please do like the video, share the video and subscribe. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's Raw. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for Wrestle Dream. We could talk about that, Edge comeback or return, whatever the hell you want to call it. Head over to WhatCulture.com, follow us on social media, and again, I shall see you throughout the week. Goodbye.